Jerry is the manager at a restaurant, and Jerry is always in a positive mood and always has something nice to say. Every time somebody would ask Jerry how he's doing, he would naturally respond, "If I was any better, I would be twins." Now, one year, Jerry moved to a different restaurant, and shockingly enough, over half of the waiting staff ended up transitioning and quitting and moving right along with him. And asked why that many would move because of him, they all replied because of his positive attitude and how amazing of a leader he really is. Now, when this comes to light, I mean, this makes anybody really all that curious as to how could somebody be that positive. So at one moment, one of the individuals went up and asked Jerry, said, "How can you be this positive all the time?" And Jerry just simply thought to himself and said, "You know what? Every single morning when I wake up, before my feet hit the ground, I have two choices. I can either choose to be in a good mood or I can choose to be in a bad mood. I choose clearly to be in a good mood. When I go through the rest of the day, if something bad happens, I can choose to be the victim or I can choose to learn from it and grow from it. If somebody comes to me complaining, I can choose to accept their complaining or I can choose to be able to help them and help them look at the positive side of what's going on and try to get them through it." The individual just looked at him and said, "But it's not always that easy. It's not that simple." And Jerry just looked at him and said, yes, it really is. When you cut through all the junk and when you cut through all the excuses, life literally is nothing but a series of choices and how you choose to react to any situation. That's incredibly huge. Even Jerry himself, when he was faced with life or death situations, actually one year, he ended up doing what you're never supposed to do. He ended up leaving one of the back doors open while he was closing. And while he was closing and locking up the safe, 3 armed robbers actually came in to the restaurant and forced him to reopen the safe. As Jerry was struggling to be able to get the safe open, his hand ended up slipping out of nerves, and the robber freaked out and shot him. A few hours later, Jerry ended up getting rushed into the hospital. And after 18 hours of being worked on and surgery and months of physical therapy and reconstruction, he came out alive. Now, the same individual that had asked him that question prior to about how can you always stay so positive ended up running into him months and months later. And he asked Jerry, "Hey, how you doing?" And Jerry once again replied, as usual, "If I was doing any better, I would have a twin. Want to see my scars?" The guy kindly rejected and said no, but he said, "What was going through your head? What was happening?" And Jerry thought to himself as he laid on that ground, he told them that, "I had two choices. I can choose to live or I can choose here to lay here and die. I chose to live." And as he was being rushed in to the ER that night, he could tell that in the eyes of the medics and in the nurses that basically it read, "This guy's a dead man. He's a goner. There's no way we're pulling him back." So Jerry knew he had to act and do something. And right as the nurse was asking him, "Is there anything you're allergic to?" he said, "I screamed out as loud as I could, 'Yes!'" All the medics and nurses all stopped immediately and were like, "Whoa, okay." They all waited, and all of a sudden, Jerry screamed out, "Bullets!" Everybody busted out laughing and couldn't even resist, but to just be like, what in the world? Even in amongst this situation, this guy is making jokes. And he looked at the nurses and doctors and said, "I am choosing to live. Operate on me as if I am already alive. Don't operate on me as if I'm already a dead man." And thanks to the careful skills of the doctors and nurses, Jerry did end up living. And it all boiled down to that choice as to what he decided in that moment. And that's what every single situation throughout our lives boils down to. And the attitude that you take into it is you have one of two choices. You can accept this message and carry it into your own life, or you can continue to choose to ignore it or choose to ignore the remainder of the messages that you're going to continue to receive. But above all things, once again, the only thing that you really truly have control over and the only thing that you have a choice to be able to maintain is your attitude. And that's 100% on you as to how you want to take that and what you do with it. So